Good morning, Kenmoor, and a warm welcome for your Friday. I'm really excited to kind of hopefully cram in this music lesson for you guys today. I apologize for having everything switched up a bit for you on my end. I'm sure you can't tell yet, but unfortunately, I had some recording equipment break on me yesterday, so I couldn't plan to do the things with you that I've been planning to do all week. Chorus, I had some things to still record for you so that we could start singing a new song. And general music, I had some things to record for you so that you could start building beat patterns based on some things that I played. And I wasn't able to lay any of those recordings down. And so I'm going to show you guys um, a new way to kind of inspire you to create some music. For chorus people, this is going to be a lot of new ways to use Soundtrap. So you're going to want to pay very close attention to the things that I show you how to do on this video. If you have trouble with any of these things, Soundtrap has like a whole bunch of YouTube videos that you can go check out to learn how to write more music with the loop library. General music, you're going to find this as something that might be a little bit like last time, but I'm going to ask you that you include something new in this project. So the focus on this project today is imagery that makes music. So how can I inspire myself to generate music? It's really hard. Composers are really unique people who can think of music with certain inspirations that move them that we don't necessarily, as people who aren't composers, understand. So when you write music, it's usually because you're responding to something. You notice something in the world and you generate music because you want to express yourself through that art form about that thing you notice. So I'm going to make it really simple today because I'm going to give you 3 things to choose from that will help inspire your music. And the reason I thought of this lesson was actually because of a piece called The Great Gate of Kiev by Modest Mussorgsky. He's an orchestral composer from the Romantic period, and he was inspired one time walking through an art gallery, and he thought of these great musical themes that he would start using based on different paintings that he saw. My favorite one is the last one in the piece. He saw a painting of the Great Gate of Kiev, and he wrote a huge orchestral finale based on this painting that you can see here in my window right now. So I thought I'd give you a play of that. Remember the Great Gate of Kiev, these are people here. This is a long time ago, and this is a massive structure that's extremely ornate. It has bells in it. It has gold all over the top of the gate, stained glass. People will ride in to enter the city of Kiev through these gates, and it's something that welcomes them, and it's very grandiose. It's very fancy. So the music that he generated was similarly that way. He was inspired by these things in this painting, and he made this ornate and fancy music because of what he saw in this painting. So I'm going to press play so you can give it a listen. Notice the things that Modest Mussorgsky, the composer, includes in this music. Now, you're not going to be writing for orchestra, but this might be a way for you to kind of develop some ideas of how you should look at your imagery. And I'm going to use one of our photos that I show you today to inspire you to generate some music through Soundtrap as well. So let's take a listen. Okay, so that is a little example of music that's been written based on an image. Now, I recognize that you likely aren't inspired by this music right now, And I also understand that you might not understand this very easily. So I wanted to kind of show you how I would go about it and be inspired myself to write some music based on some photos. So let's take a look. I'm going to share some images. These are the same three images that you will have access to. I have an image of Central Park in the middle of New York City's metropolis. I have an image of a gorgeous white sand beach with blue, soft, short waves. And I have an image of the Grand Canyon in a sunset. And these three images are going to be the three images you can choose one of. So you'll choose one image to inform your music. So let's say I choose Central Park. This is the image I'll look at and I'll use to find imagery clues on how I might make some music. You know, I think that the beach might be a nice one to use if you're having a lot of trouble because it's really simple. Central Park is really complex. The Grand Canyon is a little bit of both. And all of these have imagery features that you can use to inspire your music. And I want you to remember that what I show you is my inspiration from the image I see. Your eyes see things differently than my eyes see things. And I'm going to go pretty quickly because I'm not going to do a super detailed project. But the rules of the project are really simple. Create a piece of music that's one music or longer that's based on the image you see. You don't need to do much more than show me the image or tell me the image you used and create the music. There will be a small document that I'd like you to use to generate some of your ideas. That means writing down key features, and that's the next thing we do. So I will start doing that. Let's get started. All right. I am so excited to get started with you guys. It's going to be really simple as long as you follow these specific instructions I give you. Here is, I'm still writing everybody's assignments right now, but I wanted to go through an actual assignment this time with you so you could easily find each of the files I have for you. So you have your description of what we're doing. We have our list of requirements in the assignment, which I'm going to go ahead and read to you right now so we can kind of talk about the checklist you need to get through. Okay, so here are the requirements. You need to choose, oh, I left one out. Let's type it right now. Choose one image to inspire your music. You're going to document then 3 details that you use in your song from the image in a Google Doc. I've attached the Google Doc here. You each have your own copy to receive full credit. You must document those 3 things. You'll only have to make a song that's 1 minute or longer. So if you don't have, a ton of ideas, filling up 1 minute, you'll see is really, really easy. Don't worry. I want your song though to use at minimum 6 different tracks. That means maybe 5 different sounds, and then one of those tracks needs to be a beat maker, which I'm going to show you how to include. It's really easy and actually kind of fun. And your song obviously must be based on one of the 3 photos placed in this assignment. Okay, so under here you have all the things you need. You have the soundtrack file that's specific to your mod. This is what you click on to make your music. And I'll show you that in a moment. You have the 3 images to choose from. And you have your photo detail inspiration notes so that you can actually, go ahead and put down on paper what you saw in the image and how that affected your music. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to kind of go through those steps. I'm going to use the Central Park image. So I'm going to click on that and let's see what happens. Oh, good. So I have the Central Park image and it pops up nice and big on my screen. You, of course, could download that. I don't know if you'll get that option until I post the assignment, but you're welcome to use this image at all. They're all open source images that have no ownership. So whatever you do with them, they're yours. They are on the internet and you can reverse image search them to find them in their source. But all right, I've selected the New York City Park view, Central Park view from it looks like this is downtown. So like lower uh, Manhattan here. And we're looking at Central Park and you see all these complex, sets of buildings, and they're massive. Some of them are extremely tall. And I'm gonna actually pick my 3 details now. Okay. Now you can pick them in whatever order you want to, but I think it might be easy to kind of pick 3 details now. And the first detail that I see way up here is this bridge. And I really think that that's going to be a great thing to inform my music because it's one simple bridge. And it has parts that go up and go down. So I'm going to go to my photo detail inspiration here. And I'm going to type in large bridge in the upper left corner of the image. Now I can include the detail, and then I can share with you guys how that showed up in my music. And we're gonna do that next. I mean, I'm gonna make my music first, but I will probably have trouble filling this right hand column out until like before I make my music. Once I make my music, I might be able to fill this out more easily. So I'm gonna save that for a little bit later. All right, and then we're gonna go back to the image. Let's see here. Why can't I go back? There we go. There. All right, and we're back on the image. And the next detail that I really want to focus on is the hundreds, if not thousands, of really tall and short and tightly packed together buildings. And they might look like they're tiny, but look down here. This is huge. This is a street, and that little line is a bus. So this is a huge area. So I'm going to detail that in my document. I'm going to say the thousands of buildings that are tall and short. Okay, and it's important. Obviously, you can use things that you see in the image that I also saw. But I want you to be original. So don't just pick the things that I saw. You will see things with your young and not so hard to use eyes that I can't see. And I want you to really focus on details maybe that I didn't use, but also be original. Find things that really move you. Now, obviously, this big green space is the one thing that stands out the most. I can't believe it though. Like there's such a large space of green in the middle of the country's largest city. There's this giant space of green called Central Park, and I think that's going to be my 3rd detail actually. So I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to say giant green space in the middle. Now that I've really picked out my 3 ideas, it's probably safe to say that I'm ready to go ahead and start my file. Now remember, there's a few things you need to include in your file. There's 6 tracks that you need to have. One of those tracks has to be a beat maker. So I'm going to show you how to do those. And to make your file, you click this link right here. When you click this link right here, it generates your own file that will be automatically shared with me. You don't have to submit anything to me or link anything to my account in order to share your file like last time, which I don't think my video posted for that. So I'll go check for that and make sure you can post your file for me. But once you've clicked that link, you're into a blank file. Notice it says Image Response Project Mod 2 as the title. That's really important for you to have there. And before you go any further, the first step you need to do is make sure that your first and last name is somewhere on this so that I can see it. So I'm going to put Mr. Murphy's in the beginning there. And now, since I've made a change, I can go ahead and click Save. So I don't have any issues finding my project. Now, I mentioned you need to have one type of beat file. And I had also talked about the image and how in my details here, that the large bridge on the upper left corner of the image was something I really wanted to start with. So what I meant by that was that long, skinny bridge is how I want to start my song. that long skinny bridge is going to be my beat pattern. Now, you can assume that long skinny bridge, maybe that's just one note. Maybe that's just one long note. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a beat pattern, or I'm going to add a file first that is from my first inspiration. I think it might be easiest to show you right now how to use the pattern beat maker. So, okay, you've opened your file. My thing is going to be the bridge, and the pattern beat maker is going to be what I use to describe my bridge. And it's going to be the beat I use through my entire song. This pattern beat maker right here is on one of the tiles in your soundtrack file when you have nothing selected. It is not in the loop library. It is here, and I suggest that you kind of start with that. Once you click on it, you have this pattern beat maker, and this is called a beat matrix. And you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 kind of smaller, really small beats. But what it really is you can see that there's a huckleberry. So there's 4 parts of beat 1, 4 parts of beat 2, 4 parts of beat 3, and 4 parts of beat 4. So you have 1, 2, 3, and 4. You have a 4-beat pattern. And this is called a loop that we're going to use. And I'm going to actually go over here. Hold on, something was a little screwed up. So it's really important when you start your beat, by the way, that you have your ticker in the beginning. And if you ever click out of it, like I just did, and you can't figure out how to get back, all you do is go back to here and click on it. But notice, instrument came up, which has these parts here, and I can actually play with my keyboard to make the beat. But this isn't a really easy way to make a beat because you have to be able to record it and press your keys. And if you have a Bluetooth keyboard, it's probably going to be a little delayed. It's going to be all these different things. So when you go back to your beat that you were trying to make for Mr. Murphy and get confused, remember, if you leave it by pressing that X and you click back on it on the instrument button here, you're not going to be able to find it unless you click on pattern. Once you go to pattern, you'll be able to get back to the beat matrix, this right here. And this kind of just stands for what happens from left to right at what time. And you can see the different names of the instruments: kick, snare, hi-hat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the space bar, and now all of a sudden you can see the lights moving left to right. And we're going to go ahead into the kick. I'm going to start clicking things, and notice things start happening. And if you want to highlight all the things, you can actually click and drag with your mouse. But I actually think that's going to be too fast. That bridge is really long, and for something for me to like make look like or sound like a bridge, obviously I could fill in different things, but my tempo is really fast. I want it to be more like this tempo. So I'm going to tap down here on this little number called tempo, and this tempo can change based on what I want it to be. Tap, 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 and now it's changed the number. You can also move the number up and down, and it will click it for you. I'm going to confirm it's 60. I like that. Now, when I press the spacebar to listen to my beat, so if I want to hear it from the beginning, 1, 1, oh, why won't it start from the beginning? There we go. Now, you see me playing with these 3 instruments, but actually, remember, on the instrument, you saw all these different sounds, right? And you can actually add these different sounds, and these drop-down menus will change the sounds. So I can actually have lots and lots of sounds as I add them. And then we'll just keep adding them and just naming the next one on the list. But let's say you don't really want to use high tom or ride, which is like a cymbal sound. You could go here and you could change this one to be low tom, and this one to be, let's say, snare 2, and this one to be high tom. Where is it? There it is. So now, so you can change these and what they sound like to your heart's desire. It doesn't matter to me what instruments you use. It matters to me what you like to use. So now I can just keep playing it. I want to do some open hi-hat. There we go. And you can just add things and take them away. You have all these different sounds. So let's say you're doing this and you just dislike this sound. You know, Mr. Murphy, I can't stand the sounds in this beat generator. Well, lucky you. Once you open this up, if you don't like the sounds you're working with, even at the beginning, you don't have to start like I did, right? You can actually change your beat sounds and you can preview them, okay? So you can know what they'll sound like, but they won't actually plug these beats in, okay? Ooh, I like that one a lot. So I found Glitch Piano Kit, and we're going to use that one. I'll double click on it. And now when I play my... Now I like that one a lot, and I didn't realize it, but there's a sound in here. Let's go back to the beginning. This sound right here, this hi-hat open on that, sounds kind of like a big cable or wire being plucked. And that reminds me a lot of my bridge. And now that I kind of hear that, you know, one thing happened where I wanted to make something that sounds like a bridge. And then I accidentally discovered a sound that sounds like a bridge to me. So I'm going to go back to my photo details and I'm going to say the wire snapping sound in the beat. The large bridge in the upper left corner of the image can be heard through the wire snapping sound in the beat. That's what I mean by I want you to document. And you can see my process is kind of messy, and most music making is. You kind of just got to start with an idea and start kind of experimenting. This is a musical laboratory, if you will. And it's okay if you go out of order or you do things your own way. It's even okay if you generate all of your music based on the image and come back to this and put those key details in for me so I know what you saw, even if you enter them after the fact. So we're back here, and I actually really like my beat. I'm going to add a little more. And I like that little sound in there. I'm going to do less there. I'm going to move this over. Here we go. Good. Okay, I like my beat. I'm done with my beat. I'm going to click X. And notice now it won't loop over and over in my file. If I go listen to my file and I want to, or in my sound trap here, and it stops. Now to get that to repeat, remember, for those of you who've done this before, you can go up here and find the little curly Q loop right here, click, and drag all the way over to be as long as you want. Now, pro tip, if you aren't sure how long a minute is, you can actually click up here to find a minute by just dragging. So now I know it needs to be at least this long. So if I go to the upper right hand corner of my beat file and just drag it over, I now have a minute and 4 seconds of beat. And it will repeat over and over. Cool. Okay, so I have my first track of the 6 that I need. Now, the next way to add tracks to this is really easy for my general music kids, but new for my chorus kids. And I want to show you the beat library. The beat library is located over here. I have an empty tab. Over here, okay, so there's two buttons. There's one to share with me. This is your collaborator. I should be your only collaborator on this until we do group projects. Right now, I really want it to just be you and me. Obviously, you can add your parents to this if you want to. They'll need a Soundtrap account. But this should be something that is for school only right now. If you want to make other files that include other students, that's great, but please include me. I want to make sure I can monitor that. Okay, so that's one of those drawers. This is the collaborator drawer. This is where you can leave me notes and questions you might have. It'll notify me when you have those. But over here, this purple button with the music notes on it opens the loop library drawer up. And if you are using this button, notice when you click it, once it comes out, when you click it again, it goes away. All right? And it has a search bar. And if I clear that search bar, you'll notice there are thousands upon thousands of loops. And what loops are small 5 to 10-second sound bites that have music recorded in them already. And all you do is you click on them to add them to your file. And then you can, like we did with the loop here before on our beat, you can make them as long or short as you want them to make some music. And I'll kind of explain. So right here, if we just go back to featured, these are featured is like new stuff they usually made for Soundtrap that are really cool sounding sound files. And what you can do is you can actually preview these files. You can go through here and you have lots of different ideas. Oh, I like that. And these are actually moving at the same tempo as your piece. And I know that it's probably going to be hard to choose where you start. So maybe if you go back to your photo details or to your photo itself, okay, maybe we can look here. And, I had talked a lot about those big buildings, how there's thousands of them. And we do know we're in New York City. So maybe there's something there. New York City is a center for jazz. So maybe jazz is something I want to focus on. New York also is where hip hop, rap was first created back in the 70s. If you ask Miss Stevenson, she'll get you straight on that. And for those of you Miss Stevenson, her and Mr. Wright always go back and forth about go-go or rap from the Bronx in New York City and whether, which one came first, because they kind of both claim to be the beginnings of rap. But, I think it comes from New York City. Don't tell Mr. Wright that. But, since we know those are some things that we're looking at here, maybe that can inspire my first choice. So I'm going to look in jazz, bass, and we heard something before. That's kind of cool. That's the one we listened to before. Maybe this one's a little faster, more busy. I do like this blues the bass jazzy. So once I find something I like, what I can do is I can double click on it, or I can click and drag on it. Now, it's going to be really hard to choose different things. And if you discover that you've chosen something that you don't like, it's really easy to get rid of. I'll show you in a moment. So I've dragged and dropped my bass sound that I really like. And now I have my second of 6 tracks that I need to make. And you'll notice it doesn't last the whole song, and that's okay. But remember when I said that there's that long, skinny bridge, and I wanted it to sound like that? I'm actually going to let the beat that is made to sound kind of like my long, skinny bridge be the thing that I hear first. Just like if I look at my photo, it's something you see first. Well, I saw first. You might not, and that's okay. That's why it's important that you view the image through your lens and not through mine. And I'm going to let that be the first thing we hear. Because often when you drive to New York City, this is the first thing you drive over is a bridge to get over to the island of Manhattan. The first thing you hear. So this is how it's informing my music, right? So I'm letting the bridge be the first thing I hear. Now let's see what the bass sounds like with it. what? I really dislike that. I am not a fan of how that sounds. And it was hard because I didn't pick it out when I was listening to this beat pattern. And I'm going to show you how to fix that problem. So I'm going to delete my track. No harm done. Look at that. I clicked the 3 buttons on the right part and I clicked delete track. Now, don't delete anything you don't want, but if I were to accidentally delete my beat track, oh no. Look, it gives me an option to undo that pops up right away. But even if that goes away, if I go to edit, undo, remove track, edit, undo, remove track, you can always get your music back. But again, to delete a track, 3 little buttons there, delete track. And once you have something that you know you don't want to ever delete and you want to get back to, you can click save. But once you click save, you can't undo. So I'm going to click save. But notice now I cannot undo. So if you click save, be ready to not undo. Just be careful when you save. I want you to save a lot though, because I don't want you to lose any of your progress. So now I'm going to go back to the beat library because I didn't like what I picked. And I'm going to use my beat while I pick it. And the way I do that is I use my mouse over here and I click where I want to start and I press the play button. And now when I'm over in this drawer, I can listen to it. These are not exciting. Oh, I like that. All right, so since I like that, I'm gonna double click it. I'm gonna get rid of the loop drawer. I'm gonna press my space bar to stop, or you could press the pause button or the stop button. And now it's plunked it right in the beginning though when I double click it. So remember, you can click and drag your file wherever you want to. I'm gonna have it start again. I'm gonna click the enter button twice to get back to the beginning. I'm gonna click the play button. Let's see how it sounds. I actually really like that. That actually includes a tresillo, bum, 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 bum. That rhythm, that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, is a Latin-inspired rhythm, meaning like Afro-Cuban from the Caribbean and also from South America. And that also includes parts of Mexico. And that tresillo is actually going to be a really good way to represent New York City because Latino America has a massive, massive presence in New York City. I mean, much of the world does. It's an immigrant city. It's a city where, you know, Ellis Island, port of entry. So, hey, I think that is actually a musical influence that I'm seeing in this already and connecting to this image of New York City, knowing that it sounds like another part of the world a little bit because New York City sounds like another part of the world, even though it's in the United States. So I have my bass tumbao here. And now I'm going to add another track. And I think I'm going to need to think more about my inspirations now. The thousands of buildings that are tall and short in the giant green space. Okay, so if I picked up thousands of buildings, I think I need something fast. And I need something that sounds tall and short. I wonder. I guess I'm going to try some guitar stuff and see what I can hear. I don't know about that. It doesn't sound very city-like. What if I just type in the word city? Let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to get some sound effects, which aren't bad to use, by the way. You know what? I might use a sound effect as one of my tracks. I'm gonna, oh, let's see here. You are adding a loop from freesound.org. These loops will not automatically adjust their scale and tempo. Oh, okay, so these are just sound files. They don't change to your music, and that's okay. But I'm gonna add it. It might take a little bit because it's a real sound file, so it might just take a second to load. Now let's just, I didn't get to test it with my music, so I hope I don't have to delete anything. Oh, that's actually gonna work really nicely. It sounds like lots of people are there. But I think it's too loud. I'm gonna use the volume sliders now. So this is one thing I want you to focus on when you're making your music today and into next week. I want you to be able to kind of make some adjustments so it sounds right to you. These volume sliders are gonna be the best way for you to turn up and turn down volume. You can do it while it's playing. Okay, let's go back to the beginning and see if we like how that sounds. All right, I like that. And you know what? I am going to add a note here. Thousands of buildings. One thing that is, a way to hear those thousands of buildings is in, in the sound effect track, excuse me. So I said you can hear the sound in the sound effect track that sounds like a city square. And it's called City Square Seaside, Denmark. Okay, so it might be from somewhere else, but this is what a city often sounds like. And that gets me thinking, maybe I want to add one more city sound. I wonder, we said you often drive in on a bridge. So let's see here. Let's see if we can have like car, bridge. No. Let's see. Okay, so drums, carol. I wonder if I click sounds. So if you want sound effects, you click sounds. That's gonna be the best way. Car arriving. Car passing. Well, I like that. It sounds a lot like New York City. There's always horns being honked. I'm going to drag and drop that. And instead of having it start right at the beginning with the sounds, I'm going to have it kind of happen just after the beginning. And I'm going to say, don't show this to me again, because I understand. There we go. So, okay, now, and remember, I can have it start whenever I want. Ooh, yes. All right, cool. So I can also include in my photo details, car sound also helps us hear this city. Still haven't answered my thousands of buildings question. Maybe that car sound is something that I really mean here for the bridge. Maybe that's what it says here. What it is like to go over the bridge. Notice that I'm wondering out loud while I'm typing these things. This isn't some like guide to your music necessarily. These three decisions might be, but interpreting an image to make music and interpreting your own music, that's the same thing, and they happen at different times for everybody. However you do this is the right way. You can't screw this up if you're just making sure that you follow an image and make music based on it. So I'm going to keep walking you through this here. Let's see here. I'm going to add some more exciting music because I think that maybe those tall buildings need some exciting high and low music. How about I just put in high and low? Let's see what happens. No. Let's see what high sounds like. I wonder. No, this is kind of lame. So notice you're going to have to go through these things and find lots of different things. Maybe there's some synth sounds. So I'm clicking on some buttons to see if... No. Maybe you're onto something. Okay, so I kind of like the idea of using a high pitch sound and a low pitch sound to describe those really tall and really low buildings. So I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to press play. Let's see what it sounds like. Yes, this is great. So I'm going to drag and drop flute noodles to be starting. Let's do it halfway through. Let's see how that sounds. No, I wanted to start the second time. So notice I'm looking at how many times the bass part, that tumbao, the tresillo that we hear going on. I'm gonna play it right there. I'm gonna layer it in when I want it to be. You make your sound start when you want it to. So we have our tall buildings now. It's a little loud. I'll turn it down just a bit. Yeah, so I really like that. I'm gonna go ahead and pause that. I'm gonna leave it as it is. I think it's plenty long too. Now we need our short buildings. Oops, I didn't mean to click that track. I meant to go back to the loop library. And maybe we do low this time. And let's see here. So SFX, by the way, is going to be like sound effects. Sound effects. That's what that means. But let's see here. Low. Synth slow sweep. I wonder if I can just look up tuba. That's a low instrument. Tuba. Oops. Tuba. No, I didn't mean urban. Really? You don't have tuba in your loops? Let's see here. Let's go into piano and see if there's something that sounds like that's low. Oh, I kind of like that. All right, so I'm gonna go over here. Uh-oh. Notice something? I might need to click undo. I accidentally deleted something. If that ever happens, remember, click undo. And if you don't want to ever get rid of something, click save so it never goes away. Friendly reminder, always save. So I'm going to add in my low buildings detail, and then I'm going to take a break and kind of call it a day and let you guys finish from here. I'll show you how to submit your work in just a moment here. So you're going to go in to those loops again. It should always save where you are. I'm going to click over here so I can hear it. Let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, I'm going to put that right here. Now, I feel like there are always car horns and cars driving around New York City. So I'm going to make this sound happen a bunch of times. And to do that, I'm just going to right click and press copy. And now I'm going to click somewhere in here. I'm going to have it happen again. I'll do right click and paste. Okay. Well, that makes no sense. Let's try again. There we go. So I might have to use Control C and Control V, but you can make it happen a bunch of times in here. And then notice our sound effect goes way too long. So you can always shorten things. If it's not a loop, you can shorten things by going to this bottom right hand and pulling it in. So let's see what the end of our song sounds like. Well, I like that ending. Now I've left one key detail out of my music. But I already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tracks. Great. I followed all the rules, Mr. Murphy. Look at me. I did that. Kind of. You need to describe to me, though, this green space if that's one of your details. Now, you can describe any space in this image. So if this isn't your idea, that's fine. But I've left one thing out. And I'm going to leave that blank because I think that is one thing I want to see what you will come up with. So if you decide to choose this photo, you can use that green space and maybe find something that it sounds like. Maybe, I don't know, it's a sound effect. Maybe it's something like another beat. It's up to you. So once you're all finished and done, you need to make sure you click save before you exit out or nothing is saved here. You can add your voice if you want to make a poem that goes over it, or sing a song that goes over this, or maybe make a, like rap something over this that kind of helps us connect to the image more. That's fine, but start with the track first. Um, Once you're finished, you can click submit. It's worth 100 points. Don't don't freak out about that. These are pass or incomplete. To pass this assignment, you need to have the soundtrack file and you need to have the photo detail inspiration notes filled out. I'll leave a spot on here that tells me, I'll edit this a little bit and make sure that you include what image you chose, whether it's city, Grand Canyon, or what was the other picture? City, Grand Canyon, or the beach. Okay, so let me know which one it is. I really hope you enjoy this. This should be just a fun way to make some music today on a Friday. And if you find yourself wanting to make your own projects, go for it. You can make unlimited tracks on here, or unlimited files on here from your studio. If you make something you really want to share with me, I want to hear it. So just share it with me. I would love to see it, you guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week on here this Friday and have a really peaceful weekend. Have a great day, guys.